Inside the Arena is presented by Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, Seattle's closest sportsbook.
Welcome to Inside the Arena, your source for everything off the ice, off the court, and outside the field of play. With your hosts, KOMO Sports Director Niko and KOMO Senior Reporter Chris Daniels.
The crowd's still going wild.
They're still shaking the field at Lumen.
These are the fans from Lumen, right? That stuck around.
I just say, Rashid Shaheed brings that kickback for a touchdown. My soda on press row was like, it was like vibrating down. It was literally shaking. I know Pacific Northwest Seismic Network provided that, but it was really, among all of the cool things that happened in that game, the science nerd to me with a meteorology degree thought that was pretty darn cool.
Yeah, and there's nothing like a Seahawks playoff game, as we have now seen over multiple instances.
It is incredible, and here we go. Big one. Wow, let's see what happens.
Yeah, big for not only the Seahawks, for the fans, for the businesses, and Pioneer Square and Soto. It has been fun, and another event that's also going to be fun down there, the World Cup in 2026.
It's going to be. I don't know what to expect. Who really truly does, but as Gianni Infantino said, it's kind of, hey, Kevin, how many Super Bowls did he say? 74 or whatever it is. So we'll see how it goes. And Lumen is going to stand the test, I think, but it's going to be fun to watch.
And later on in the show, Peter Tomozawa, who is the CEO of the Seattle World Cup Organizing Committee, he's got some new information on how many volunteers have signed up, a new volunteer center that the organizing committee has opened up, and also a very detailed small business playbook to get all of those businesses, not only in Pioneer Square and Soto, but the Chinatown International District downtown, get them ready and telling them, giving them some advice on how to be ready for all the hundreds of thousands of visitors we're going to have in Seattle.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. And the Seahawks setting the stage for what really might be the best sports year ever, if things break the right way, it's of course. But you start the year this way. You've got the World Cup this summer, and that's not even counting the Mariners, the Sounders, UW football, all these different teams, the Storm are going to do in 2026. It's going to be remarkable.
And maybe the NBA, too. They're going to have some news. So we're going to talk about that, too, in the Supersonic Minute.
We're going to be hitting our stride on Inside the Arena. If we haven't already, we're going to have like these big breaking things to do it with.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And what we like to do every week, we like to touch them all, right?
Yeah.
All four corners. No, that's the wrong button. Bill, I thought I had it. It's that one. No, it's not that one either.
What do you...
I'm hitting all the wrong buttons. There we go. What's good? What's bad? Off the ice, off the court, off the field of play.
Admittedly, there were two green buttons there. Now it's green and purple. So I will give you a pass and getting messed up there.
And we used to have 6 buttons, and now we have 8.
Well,
So what's good this week? Besides,
I was going to try and say something nice to you there, Chris. I couldn't think of anything. I apologize. No, here's what I like. We talked about the atmosphere at Lumen Field, and not just was it incredible, talk about my soda shaking across. I mean, I really legitimately felt it shaking on that Rashid Shaheed kickoff return, which was incredible. But there's something I like even more. The 12s are amazing, 68,000 plus, had that place rocking. Mike McDonald made it a goal. We have to win here. We have to get them on our side. And think about the change. This is what I'm getting at. From when he started where we are now, the Seahawks were 3-6 at home last year, 6-2, now 7-2 with the playoff game at home this year. But the biggest thing I like, in all the 49ers visits to Lumen Field I've ever covered, this was the smallest contingent of red I've ever seen. And you would think it'd be the opposite because it's a playoff game, but that is not what we saw. And I think we talked about it last week. I think that message the Seahawks sent out that said, hey, if you don't make an effort to resell your tickets to a fellow 12 with 18,000 to tens of thousands, whatever it is on the wait list, your eligibility for season tickets will be reevaluated. And I think was enough of a message that it scared people who, listen, there's nothing wrong with if you're in the situation where you need to sell for the income, like that's your prerogative, but don't sell it to somebody from Santa Clara or San Francisco or any of those cities down there. You sell it to somebody from Renton or Woodinville or whatever. So, I think the play worked from the Seahawks. Like I said, it was the smallest contingent Niner fans, and of course, even that number of them were shut up pretty quickly by Rashid Shaheed, and it was all over from there. So that was the cool thing to me. Past games, I always like to walk around pregame on the field, do my laps, get a feeling. I've mentioned this when I do predictions. I don't like doing X's and O's as much as feeling the atmosphere and stuff. So I try to take it in pregame, and I didn't get heckled at all. I'm always heckled by Niner fans, of course, is what I'm trying to say. Well done, Hawks. Well done, 12s. Do it again.
And it was great for the city. I mean, just on the Friday before the game, I ran into a guy. His name, T. Ballin. T. Ballin. He and his wife came up from the Bay Area to see that game, walking around Pike Place Market. I mean, I saw a lot of folks wearing Niners gear before the game.
Sure.
They're spending their money. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax revenue that nobody was planning on in their budgets that came into the city for that weekend. And so I guess if you're a Seahawks fan, thank T. Ballin and his wife for coming to town to see that game.
Yeah, it was again, the atmosphere is second to none, but well done getting this to make sure that the Niners didn't invade, and hopefully the same thing goes forward. But it was a really concerted and well executed effort.
Well, with all the Seahawks success, it's kind of overshadowed some of the schedule releases.
Yeah,
and
Storm.
The Storm had their schedule release, and I'm hoping Bill bringing the Storms into the studio
scared me.
The announcement May 8th, the first game against Golden State. Of course, this year is going to be interesting with the Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo. Hopefully a rivalry up and down I-5.
Be nice.
But that announcement, there's going to be a 17-day break in the season as well for the World Championships. What I'm hoping is by announcing this, it's kind of the WNBA is playing a little bit of a chip here to say, hey, here's our schedule. Now let's get a collective bargaining agreement done. And that still needs to be done between the Players Association and the WNBA. But if they do get that, and that's assuming they get it, then May 8th is going to be that first game.
Love it. Can't wait. And, of course, we are the home of the Storm.
Yes. Not to bury the lead.
Not to bury the lead, but we love it, and that's why we want these games to happen.
Yeah. So what don't you like this
I just want to piggyback. I don't like that there's not a deal yet.
Yeah.
And listen, I understand they're a little bit further apart, I guess is what I'm trying to get at, than you would like to see this late in the game. Do I think they'll have a deal by the time May rolls around, or let's call it earlier, like late April for the draft and training camp? I do. I think the rise of the W has been so pronounced, and we've seen it. We've seen the ratings on our station. We're not just saying that, good sign KOMO. Like, no, the ratings have been really good for the games here on KOMO, but not just that, the ESPN games and things of that sort. There's such momentum. It would be one of the biggest shames, quite frankly, in sports if they had a stoppage of any sort or missed any of the season. And I'm not even talking about like a full-on like 1994 MLB strike. I'm talking about maybe like 2011 NBA. Even that would be really bad. So let's just hope they avoid it. Let's just hope they come to it. But my negative would be, you saw the latest report, the latest round of negotiations. They were still a ways off. And we're talking about, revenue sharing and things of that sort. They're just a little bit far off. Hopefully they get there. And I think both sides understand what I just said about the momentum. But the problem is they got to, meet up that middle ground.
Yeah, the start of the season has been one of the hang-ups in all of this.
Yeah, I mean, you think about last year, they jammed a lot of action into a shorter window because you had another team and all that sort. So that's going to be, something moving forward to watch.
Well, what I don't like this week, and you had a chance to see it firsthand.
Yeah.
Little John is the halftime show.
Yeah.
For the Seahawks.
People are going nuts.
What? Who's this guy who's playing this? I mean, we couldn't find Pearl Jam or somebody.
Sure. Well,
somebody from one of the local bands.
What's that?
Somebody from one of the local bands. We couldn't find the Benson Boone kid.
You know what doesn't get a lot of attention is most games they have like a special drummer with the Blue Thunder, and it's like, oh my God, it's Duff McKagan or somebody like that. That's really. But yeah, I was kind of hoping for like a Pearl Jam because it's such an iconic game, and like that place was just rocking when he had Cam Chancellor doing the C, and then you have Doug Baldwin go for the flag, tap his watch. Oh my God. You just like somebody to carry that momentum. And I know it's country artists from our area.
Yeah.
So we love local people, but I'd kind of like to see, yeah, I'm with you.
So Doug gave me chills, by the way. Raising the
that was
flag.
he special, like behind the scenes moment. He came to the press box at halftime. I gave him the biggest hug. I'm like, Doug, that was beautiful, man. And he kind of was like, oh man, thank you. Like, it was a special moment.
Who raises it this week?
Gotta be Marshawn. Here's the thing. People have talked about Pete Carroll, and there's a rumor he would do it last week. I don't think you do it yet because it's Mike's team now, and this is that. I love Pete Carroll so much, but I don't want it to be. I want it to be Marshawn or bust.
Marshawn or Jody, if I had to guess.
Jody's good. Yeah, of course. to me, it's got to be Marshawn. What if we bring Russ back?
Oh,
I would be okay with that. I actually would be okay with that.
Well, speaking of bringing things back, do you like that transition?
Yeah, I did.
What we try to update everybody on every week, if I find it.
No, it's this one.
I got it wrong again. Yes, the
you're going
Supersonic
to
Minute.
Control that to me soon enough.
Yeah, well, there's so many buttons. I could give you the sad trombone too. But let's talk about what is going on with the NBA. I think we try to update every week here in the Supersonic Minute about the potential for the NBA to come back to Seattle. As there's been a lot of momentum on that in the last couple of years. There is something to report.
Okay.
Adam Silver was back in Europe. Addressing the media a couple of times as the NBA had a couple of games in Europe, and they're now kind of laying the groundwork for what the European League is going to look like. 16 teams, 12 of them permanent, with the hope that it can start in October of 2027. So now we're getting a timeline, which means they would probably be announcing this at some point in the first half of this year. London, Manchester, Paris, Madrid, Barcelona, Rome, Milan, Berlin, Athens, Istanbul. Adam Silver calling this the real heavy lift, trying to get this league off the ground, and that adding NBA expansion franchises, say in Seattle or Vegas, would not be as hard. But it seems as if they're really focused on trying to nail this down in the next 6 months or so for an October 2027 launch with a new league in Europe. That's all tied in to NBA expansion because there's a question of just how much money each franchise would go for. There's been a reported number of $1 billion for each European team. This has clearly really gained the focus of the NBA when it comes to the next step. Once they get past that, Adam Silver's already signaled 2026, meaning this year, they will address expansion once and for all.
Yeah, and I think that, there's an important bit of context there. This is a lucrative thing for the NBA. Yeah. And for years, you've heard about college kids going over to Europe and, you go to a league in Turkey, you go to a league somewhere else, and you're not getting paid right and stuff. This will give that necessary infrastructure. It's going to be a lot of jobs for basketball players. Yes, the G League is the direct feeder of NBA teams, but this is going to be a nice place for, the NBA to make money in a basketball-hungry bunch of markets. Like you see all those cities, like, yep. And it is a harder lift because we've talked about how the infrastructure is already here. There's, the ownership group potentially anyway is ready, and all the things are ready here. So if they decide it's at some point in 26 good for domestic expansion, Seattle's ready to go. Vegas is ready to go. This is going to be a much harder lift. So I actually, as much as I don't like to say this, I understand starting that first.
Well, that is going to be something we'll continue to watch every week here on Inside the Arena. And one of the things we're going to be talking about over the next several months is the World Cup and the planning for it. Peter Tomozawa, I think he's a friend of the show at this point. The Seattle World Cup Organizing Committee CEO. He's got some new news about a volunteer center, a facility they've now set up for the volunteers. How many people have applied actually to volunteer during the World Cup? Also the playbook for small businesses, so how businesses can capitalize on this big event coming to Seattle. You're going to hear from Peter Tomozawa immediately after this break.
Looking for the ultimate game day spot? Head up to Hawks Peak Sports Bar and Grill at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. The place to be for game days. With over 60 TVs, you won't miss a single play, no matter where you sit. Grab your crew, your favorite bites, and your go-to drink, and catch every touchdown, dunk, or goal in style. Hawks Peak Sports Bar and Grill, where every seat is the best seat in the house. Learn more at snowcasino.com.
A whole new world here in Pioneer Square that you've created. What's it all about?
Well, I don't know if that's a big statement to say I created a whole new world here in Pioneer Square, but thanks for that. Chris, we're now down below 150 days away from the World Cup, and we're super excited. Last week we had an amazing event at the new rail spur. You were there. It was a celebration of nations, and we welcomed, with the Puyallup tribe of Indians, the countries that are going to be playing here. And it was a really special evening. I have to say that event space is fabulous, and it really showed us our city well. And I talked to the general councils of Australia and Belgium. They both said, emphatically that was a very special evening and a very spiritual one, actually. And it was really fun event to welcome all these countries that are coming here. We didn't even talk about the soccer. It was talking about how, the countries are excited to be part of this cultural exchange. And no better way to start off the year with the celebration of nations and the welcoming. And by the way, I wanted to tell you, that celebration of nations was inspired by the canoe journey that we got to witness a couple of years ago with the Puyallup Tribe of Indians hosting. And we saw how they welcomed canoe families, and we kind of did the same thing with welcoming the nations that are coming here.
So the Volunteer Center, what's this all about as you're welcoming people in who want to volunteer for the World Cup?
So we're sitting right across from McCoy's Firehouse Bar and Grill right here in Pioneer Square. We have a volunteer center upstairs on the second floor, and that's where people are going to be checking out and kind of resting and relaxing during the tournament. Right now, there's a lot of activity as they are interviewing volunteers. There were 18,000 applicants for what will be 4,000 volunteer spots, roughly. So it is just an enormous undertaking. I don't think they're going to interview all 18,000, but that just shows you the overwhelming interest that we've gotten from our community is wanting to figure out how they want to be involved with the World Cup, which is fabulous.
18,000 applicants for 4,000 volunteer spots.
Well, 4,500, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what would people see as they come in and look at that volunteer center?
Yeah, if you go upstairs, the volunteer center and the people that are fortunate enough to be invited to come in and to take a look and see as part of it, there'll be some part of history that the World Cup has. It's been around since 1930. You'll kind of walk through the whole upstairs and you'll see how they're going to set. There's foosball tables, there's break rooms. It's really well done, I have to say, and we're really proud to have it upstairs from our offices.
So the 4,500 or so people that will be selected as volunteers, where will they be working during the World Cup?
They're going to be working all over the city. They'll be at the stadium. They'll be helping people guide through from the airports to the downtown core, just helping people get around. We're going to have 750,000 visitors from all over the world. And it's, there's a language requirements and those kind of things, just helping people get around. I've seen it now I saw it in Qatar for the World Cup in 2022. The volunteer corps was incredible in Paris Olympics. And we're the most welcoming city in the whole of the entire host cities for the World Cup in 2026. And this is all part and parcel to the whole thing.
And right around the same time that this launched, you also have a small business handbook.
Yes.
Pretty thick documents that you've handed out to small businesses. What was the purpose of putting that together?
Yeah, so we did a big listening tour prior to, as we were building towards the World Cup. And one of the key things that we had heard from previous events that had come through Major League Baseball All-Star Game was that small businesses wanted to be better prepared. And to that end, we did a fabulous collaboration with the Seattle Chamber of Commerce, who helped produce a guidebook that small businesses can take and look, and there's all kinds of information there that will help them, guide them in terms of getting ready and being prepared. You can go to the Seattle Chamber of Commerce website to get a copy of that. But one of the things that we really wanted to do is make sure small businesses felt included as part of this opportunity for this amazing event that's going to come here. And we talk about $1 billion of additional revenue, $100 million of taxes, 21,000 jobs that are, Visit Seattle did a study on what the economic impact is. But a key critical component of that is making sure small businesses are included. And to that end, we announced during the Celebration of Nations, this is the selfless station that's designed after the whale tail poster, which is the #1 selling poster in all of FIFA for host cities. This is a 2-foot version of it. Just want to show this right here. This is designed to hang in storefront windows, and we'll be distributing these things throughout the prior to the tournament. but it's a beautiful thing. It's done by Western Neon. The Lucero family, which owns Western Neon Company, was so proud, and they just did a tremendous job. And you can see the detail on this thing, where we have the cedar branches that's in our poster as a commemoration for indigenous peoples. So that's actually in the whole thing, and so it's been a real fun experience working on these projects for that. And small business is on the top of our mind.
So how do businesses, or how do people get one of those?
So right now we're relying on donations from corporations, from individuals, and as part of a donation that you give to our 501c3 that we're building for these programs, you're able to then assign them to small businesses. Based upon the overwhelming feedback that we got at the Celebration Nations, we're thinking about how to make them more available. So there's more to come on that.
And in that small business handbook, there's a lot of talk about kind of branding, how to brand this as a small business, how to speed up point of sale. What can you say about that?
Yeah, so like there's all this work that we're doing with this, but what we're going for is the best way I could describe it, like how they had the pigs in the market at Pike Place Market. We're going to have whale tails everywhere. So you're going to be greeted by a whale tail at the airport. You'll see it all on your journey into the city, and you'll see storefronts that have the whale tail neon signage that does indicate their participation in the World Cup. And so we'll have them all around that Unity Loop that I've talked to you about, that walking loop through the city. And we're going to have some, hopefully we'll have a bunch out in our 9 fan zone cities as well.
How are you incorporating kind of Pioneer Square, the CID? I know the Chinatown International District has felt left out in some past events, whether it be the Major League Baseball All-Star Game Week or the NHL event, the Winter Classic.
Yeah.
How are you incorporating with to help the CID?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chris. We've been working for the last 2 years on incorporating Pioneer Square, SODO, the CID, and we're very, very closely aligned with all the business BIDs, the business improvement districts that are associated with those. And so we work hand in hand with them. We designed and helped design the small business playbook with those people in mind. We're talking to them all about, opportunities around viewing parties and those kind of things. So there's an very active conversation going on as a part of all this. One of the things that we haven't announced, but we will be announcing shortly, is we've helped with the Chinese American Legacy Art Project, which is a big statue that's going to go up, and we've helped with helping them source and finish off the funding for this. It's a commemoration to the expulsion of the Chinese immigrants back in the late 1800s, and that's going to go up as part of this. But rest assured, that's very much on front of our minds as to how we incorporate this. And so it's really exciting that we're going to have all these people milling about, and we could be moving them around. The Unity Loop incorporates the CID as part of that whole process, and there's so many layers to the onion to all of this. You're going to hear more and more as we go through and get closer.
And one of the things also I think people have maybe lose sight of in a big event like this is, for small businesses that want to take advantage of it, there might be some permit requirements that's part of this whole small business playbook, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I just think we are hopefully going to have more events, not less events after the World Cup. And I know the Seattle Sports Commission is working really hard to get other events to our city. And so this is laying down a foundational blueprint for how we continuously incorporate small business as part of the celebrations that will be coming through our city. And so it's a true legacy project at heart in terms of how we lay down the future for our city to host more of these kind of things.
And you've got big announcements coming up. I know security and other things that are part of this that are coming up. What else can you say about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, the security element's really exciting, actually. There's like investments that are going to be made that'll be permanent, that will be great for the city, as we think about how to secure our city in the future for future events and on all those things, but more to come on that. We've worked lockstep with all levels of government, from federal to state to local, on how to coordinate all these resources and all these kind of things. And it's quite a project when you think about the level of things. I'm just so glad we have former Seattle Police Chief John Diaz as our Chief Security Officer. He is a true professional in every sense of the word, knows security. He's probably forgotten more about security than you and I will ever know, but he has coordinated it at every level. I just watch in awe of the team as they prepare for this. And, we're talking about visa preparation. We're talking about homeland security. We're talking about all these kind of things that the normal average person doesn't get to see. And it's quite comprehensive.
So if you were listening there on the audio side and on the video side, Peter was describing the Finn logo, the neon, that those are going to be things you're going to be able to buy, put in your window to signal that you have World Cup related activities going on in your small business. I think it's interesting that the playbook is very in-depth and available for any small business that's interested. The things to think about is, point of sale purchases,
right?
How you're going to process credit cards to get people in and out faster or make more sales. Also permitting in terms of having outdoor tables and people that are walking by in Pioneer Square and SoDo. So a lot of things that people aren't thinking about, they're trying to get people to think about now to take advantage of this and make it really beneficial for the entire community.
And hats off, listen, friend of the show, this comes off as Homer bias, whatever it might be, but they've done a great job. And we're going back to the fall of 21 when they were just trying to land the bid. And of course they get it in 22. Like every step along the way has been super organized. And when you're hosting something like FIFA, you and I and the, so to speak, outside of the media have seen the different animal that FIFA is, not just with this, but even the Club World Cup last summer. I was like, oh, wow, it was for all of Seattle media. It was kind of different than we're used to. Super organized, though. And so for Seattle to have all those ducks in a row, Peter's doing this, 5 months before the first games. You love to see it. And I would suspect, as we do every time in the big stage, although this may be the biggest, Seattle's going to come through.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic just in terms of the games in Seattle, the games in Vancouver, the benefit really for the East Side, the Puyallup Tribe of Indians, one of the prime legacy sponsors down south, and then all of the people going up and down I-5 trying to go across the border and go to games in Vancouver. I think there's going to be some interesting stories about traffic, getting people around, Airbnbs, hotels.
I was just going to say, do you want an Airbnb in Mount Vernon or something?
That's all going to be, I know in BC, they're having problems just with where are people going to stay for this?
Yeah.
With 7 matches up there, 6 down here. So it's going to be an event. I will agree with Peter. He's compared it with the 62 World's Fair, just in terms of a month-long event bringing hundreds of thousands of people to Vancouver and Seattle. We haven't seen anything like it.
No, we haven't. And it's going to be different, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
And you know what else is going to be a lot of fun?
David Lee taking us out.
You've been listening to Inside the Arena with Niko and Chris. Please subscribe on your favorite platform. Until next time.
Inside the Arena was presented by Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, Seattle's closest sports book.